When it was the 934th night, she resumed, "It has reached me, O auspicious king, that the king assigned a house to Abukir, and bade furnish it, and he took it as his, abode therein. On the morrow, he mounted and rode through the city, whilst the architects went before him. And he looked about him till he saw a place which pleased him, and said, 'This stead is seemly.' Whereupon they turned out the owner, and carried him to the king, who gave him as the price of his holding what contented him and more. Then the builders fell to work, whilst Abukir said to them, 'Build thus, and do this and that,' till they built him a dairy that hadn't its like. Whereupon he presented himself before the king, and informed him that they had done building the dairy, and that there need but the price of the distaff and gear to set it going. Quoth the king, 'Take these 4,000 dinars to thy capital, and let me see the first fruits of thy dairy.' So he took the money and went to the market, where, finding distaff plentiful and well nigh worthless, he bought all he needed of materials for dyeing. Dyeing means to dye clothes and textiles. And the king sent him 500 pieces of stuff, which he set himself to dye of all colors, and there he spread them before the door of his dairy. When the folk passed before the door, they saw a wonder sight whose like they had never seen in their lives. So they crowded about the entrance, enjoying the spectacle, and questioned the dyer, and saying, 'O master, what are the names of these colors?' Quoth he, 'This is red, and this is yellow, and the other is green,' and so on, naming the rest of the colors. And they fell to bringing him loincloth, and saying to him, 'Dye it for us like this and that, and take what hire thou seekest.' When he had made an end of dyeing the king's stuff, he took them and went up with them to the divan. And when the king saw them, he rejoiced in them, and bestowed abundant bounty on the dyer. Furthermore, all the troops brought him stuff, saying, 'Dye for us thus and thus.' And he dyed for them to their liking, and they threw him gold and silver. After this his fame spread abroad, and his shop was called the Sultan's Dairy. Good came into him at every door. And none of the other dyers could say a word to him, but they used to come to him, kissing his hands and excusing themselves to him for past affronts they had offered him, and saying, 'Take us to thy apprentices.' But he would none of them, for he had become the owner of the black slaves and handmaids, and had amassed store of wealth. On this wise fared it with Abukir. But as regards Abusir, after the closed door had been locked on him, and his money had been stolen, he abode prostrate and unconscious for 3 successive days, at the end of which the concierge of the Khan, chancing to look at the door, observed it was locked, and bethought himself that he hadn't seen and heard about the 2 companions for some time. So he said to himself in his mind, 'Haply they have made off, without paying rent, or perhaps they are dead, or what is it to do with them?' And he waited till the sunset, when he went up to the door, and heard the barber growing within. He saw the key in the lock. So he opened the door, and entering, found Abusir lying, groaning, and said to him, 'No harm to thee. Where is thy friend?' Replied Abusir, 'By Allah, I came to my senses only this day, and I called out, but none answered my call. Allah upon thee, O my brother, look for the purse under my head, and take from there 5 half dirhams, and buy me somewhat nourishing, for I am so anhungered.' The porter put out his hand, and taking the purse found it empty, and said to the barber, 'The purse is empty, there is nothing in it.' Whereupon Abusir knew that Abukir had taken what was was therein and had fled, and he asked the porter, "Has the not seen my friend?" Answered the doorkeeper, "I haven't seen him for these 3 days, and indeed methought you had departed, thou and he." The barber cried, "Not so, but he coveted my money and took it, and fled, seeing me sick." Then he fell a weeping and a wailing, but the doorkeeper said to him, "No harm shall befall thee, and Allah will requite him his deed." So he went away and cooked him some broth, whereupon he ladled out a plateful and brought it to him. Nor did he cease to tend him and maintain him with his own monies for 2 months' space, when the barber sweetened, and the Almighty made him whole of his sickness. Then he stood up and said to the porter, "And never the Most High Lord enable me, I will surely requite thee of thy kindness to me. But none requites save the Lord of his bounty," answered the porter. "Praised be thee for the recovery. I deal not thus with thee, but of desire for the face of the Allah the bountiful." Then the barber went forth of the Khan and threaded the market streets of the town, till destiny brought him to the bazaar, wherein was Abu Kir's diary, and he saw the various coloured stuff dispread before the shop, and the jostle of folks crowding to look upon them. So he questioned one of the townsmen and asked them, "What place is this, and how comes it that I see the folks crowding together?" Whereto the man answered, saying, "This is the Sultan's diary, which he set up for a foreigner, Abu Kir High. And whenever he dies new stuff, we all flock to him and divert ourselves by gazing upon his handiwork, for we have no dyers in our land who know how to stain these colours." And indeed there befell him with these dyers who are in the city that which befell. And he went on to tell him all that had passed between Abu Kir and the dyers, and how he had complained of them to the Sultan, who took him by the hand and built him that diary and gave him this and that. Brief, he recounted to him all that has just occurred. At this, Barber rejoiced and said to himself, "Praised be Allah, who has prospered him, so that he is become a master of his craft. And the man is excusable, for of a surety he has been diverted from thee by his work, and has forgotten thee. But thou acts kindly by him, and entreats him generously, what time he was out of work. So when he sees thee, he will rejoice in thee, and entreat thee generously, even as though entreatest him." According, he made for the door of the diary, and saw Abu Kir seated on a high mattress, spread upon a bench beside the doorway, clad in royal apparel, and attended by 4 blackamoor slaves and 4 white Mamelukes, all robed in the richest of the raiment. Moreover, he saw the workmen, 10 negro slaves, standing at work. For when Abu Kir bought them, he taught them the craft of dyeing. He himself sat amongst his cushions, and he were a grand vizier or a mighty monarch, putting his hands to naught, but only saying to men, "Do this and do that." So the barber went up to him and stood before him, deeming he would rejoice in him, when he saw him and salute him and entreat him with honor and make much of him. But when eye fell upon eye, the dyer said to him, "O scoundrel, how many a time have I bidden thee stand not at the door of the workshop? Hast thou a mind to disgrace me with the folk thief that thou art? Seize him." So the blackamoors ran at him and laid hold of him, and the dyer rose up from his seat and said, "Throw him." Accordingly they threw him down, and Abu Kir took a stick and dealt him 100 strokes on the back. After which they turned him over, and he beat him other 100 blows of his belly. Then he said to him, "O scoundrel, O villain, if ever again I see thee standing at the door of this dairy, I will forthwith send thee to the king, and he will commit thee to the chief of police, that he may strike thy neck. Begone, may Allah not bless thee." So Abu Sir departed from him, broken-hearted by reason of the beating and the shame that had betided him. Whilst the bystanders asked Abu Bakr, "What has this man done?" He answered, "The fellow is a thief, and who steals the stuff of folk." And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say.